The pitiful screams of dying Krenim warriors filled the cold void of space as humanity unleashed its fury, blasting apart the aliens' warships in a dazzling display of vengeance. Aboard the battered remnants of the Krenim fleet, Commander Izar slammed his fist on the console, eyes blazing with rage. "I cannot believe the humans repelled our invasion even after we bombarded their cities from orbit." Around him the bridge smoldered, his crew scrambling to restore systems. "We had them outnumbered and outgunned, yet they still found a way to drive us back." He glared out at the planet below, blue and green and mocking. "It won't happen again." "Sir," his subordinate Jorval swallowed nervously, "our intelligence vastly underestimated their resolve and resourcefulness." "And what of the human who led their resistance? This Noah James," Izar growled, rounding on Jorval. "What have we learned about him?" Jorval consulted a flickering datapad. "He was a civilian, sir. A former soldier, retired when we attacked. He wasn't part of their military chain of command." Izar's eyes narrowed dangerously. "By all accounts," Jorval continued, "he organized the resistance himself, rallying the humans to fight back against our invasion." "A single human foiled my plans. Unacceptable," Izar roared. "I want to know everything about Noah James. What makes him so special? What allowed him to defy the might of the Krenim Empire?" Jorval nodded quickly. "Yes, sir, I'll find out, or I'll scrub the waste reclamation units for the next solar cycle." As Jorval scurried away, Izar turned back to the viewport, glowering down at Earth. The humans had won this battle, but the war was far from over. He would learn their secrets, starting with Noah James, and then he would crush them once and for all, grinding their bones to dust beneath his boots. Humanity would regret the day they ever dared to defy the Krenim Empire. Izar drummed his fingers on the armrest of his command chair, mulling over Jorval's report. After several long, tense days of waiting, his subordinate had finally returned with answers about the humans and their infuriatingly effective resistance leader, Noah James. Jorval stood at attention, datapad in hand. "Sir, I believe I have discovered what makes Noah James so formidable," he began. "It's not just him, it's the humans as a whole. They have a saying, 'Never underestimate the power of human spite.' When we attacked, we hurt them badly, but instead of breaking their spirit, it only served to galvanize their resistance." Izar scoffed. "Spite? You're telling me we were beaten by something as petty as spite?" Jorval shook his head. "It's more than that, sir. The humans have a capacity for unifying in the face of adversity that we didn't account for. Noah James was able to tap into that, to rally them around a common cause. He made our invasion personal for every human, not just the ones we were directly attacking." Izar leaned forward, his interest piqued despite his skepticism. "Go on," he prompted, gesturing for Jorval to continue. "Even more than that, the humans have a remarkable ability to adapt and innovate on the fly," Jorval explained. "Noah James was able to exploit weaknesses in our technology and tactics that we didn't even know we had. He turned our own strengths against us." Izar sat back, absorbing this information. "So what you're telling me is that the humans are not just stubborn, but also clever and resourceful." "Exactly, sir," Jorval confirmed with a nod. "They're unpredictable. They don't fight like we do. They don't fight like anyone else in the galaxy. That's what makes them so dangerous." Izar refused to let the humans' victory stand as anything more than a fluke. He would prove that the Krenim were the superior force, that the humans had simply gotten lucky. He ordered his fleet to launch surgical strikes against critical human infrastructure, power plants, communication hubs, supply depots. The goal was to cripple their ability to resist, to bring them to their knees. But each time the Krenim forces arrived at their targets, they found them empty. No, not just empty, evacuated and defended. The humans were dug in, entrenched, ready for a fight. And not just a fight, but a fight they seemed to know was coming. Izar stormed onto the bridge, his face twisted with rage. "Jorval," he bellowed, "had explained this." Jorval looked up from his console, his expression carefully neutral. "Sir?" "How are they doing this?" Izar seethed. "How do they always seem to know where we're going to strike?" Jorval hesitated for a moment, then straightened his shoulders. "It's Noah James, sir. He's managed to crack our encryption codes. He's intercepting our communications, anticipating our moves." Izar slammed his fist down on the console, making Jorval flinch. "Impossible. Our codes are unbreakable." But Jorval, to his credit, remained unfazed. "It seems that James has a background in cryptography. He's using that knowledge, combined with captured Krenim technology, to decipher our plans. He's always one step ahead of us." Izar's eyes narrowed to slits. "So what you're telling me," he said, his voice low and dangerous, "is that in addition to being stubborn, clever, and resourceful, the humans are also adept at infiltration and espionage." Jorval nodded. "They're highly adaptable, sir. They learn from their enemies and turn that knowledge against them. It's a trait that seems to be embodied in Noah James, but it's clear that it's not unique to him. The humans as a species are far more formidable than we gave them credit for." Izar paced the bridge, his mind racing. The humans had proven far more resilient and adaptable than he had anticipated. It was time for a change in strategy. "Jorval," he barked, turning to face his subordinate, "we need to rethink our approach. If we can't beat the humans, we'll make them join us." Jorval frowned, confused. "Sir?" "Bring me Noah James," Izar ordered, his eyes glinting with a new plan. "I want him alive." Jorval's eyebrows shot up in surprise. "You want to capture him? What for?" Izar leaned forward, a calculating look on his face. "This Noah James is clearly the key to the human resistance. If we can turn him to our side, imagine what we could accomplish. With his knowledge and skills, combined with our technology, we could be unstoppable." Jorval shook his head, skeptical. "But, sir, what makes you think he would ever agree to join us? He's been fighting against us this whole time." "Everyone has a weakness, Jorval," Izar said, undeterred. "We just need to find his, offer him power, wealth, whatever he desires. Every man has his price." Jorval shifted uncomfortably. "I don't know, sir. From what I've learned about Noah James, he doesn't seem like the type to be swayed by material offers. His loyalty to his people seems unshakable." Izar slammed his hand down on the console, his patience wearing thin. "Then we'll find another way, threaten his family, his friends, his home. We'll make him an offer he can't refuse." He stood tall, his eyes blazing with determination. "I will not be bested by a single human, Jorval. One way or another, Noah James will serve the Krenim Empire." Jorval nodded slowly, realizing the depth of Izar's obsession. "I'll assemble a team, sir. We'll find Noah James and bring him in." "See that you do," Izar growled. "And Jorval, failure is not an option. We've underestimated these humans for too long. It's time we show them the true might of the Krenim." As Jorval left to make preparations, Izar turned back to the viewport, staring down at the blue-green planet below. Noah James had proven himself a formidable adversary, but Izar was determined to make him an ally, willingly or not. The future of the Krenim Empire depended on it. Jorval shifted nervously under Izar's intense gaze. "Sir, I've tried everything. I've sent our best infiltration teams, our most advanced surveillance drones. But every time we get close to Noah James, the humans are there, waiting for us. It's like they have eyes and ears everywhere." Izar's eyes narrowed. "Are you telling me that our elite forces are being outmaneuvered by a bunch of primitive apes?" "They're not primitive, sir," Jorval said carefully. "They're resourceful, adaptive. They seem to have a knack for anticipating our moves." Izar slammed his fist on the console, making Jorval flinch. "I don't want to hear excuses, Jorval. I want results. Noah James is the key to crushing this resistance. We need him." "I understand, sir," Jorval said, his mind racing. "But if I may, perhaps it's time we consider a different approach." Izar's head snapped up, his eyes boring into Jorval's. "What are you suggesting?" Jorval took a deep breath. "Negotiations, sir, a truce. Maybe we can find a way to coexist with the humans rather than trying to conquer them outright." Izar's face contorted with rage. "Negotiate? With those infra—" He stopped mid-sentence, a strange look crossing his face. "Wait. Say that again." Jorval blinked, surprised. I said maybe we should try negotiating with the humans, sir. Our usual tactics don't seem to be effective against them. They're unlike any enemy we've faced before. Izar leaned back in his chair, steepling his fingers. Interesting. You're right, Jorval. The humans have proven themselves to be formidable adversaries. Perhaps they do deserve a certain level of respect. Jorval nodded eagerly. Exactly, sir. They're tenacious, clever, and fiercely loyal to each other. Qualities that could be valuable in an ally. Izar was silent for a long moment, considering. Finally he spoke. Very well, Jorval, we'll try it your way. Arrange a meeting with Noah James and his top lieutenants. Let's see if the humans are as open to diplomacy as they are to warfare. Jorval nodded, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. Right away, sir. I'll send out a communication immediately. As Jorval turned to leave, Izar called after him. And Jorval, make sure they understand that this is not a surrender. The Krenim Empire does not bow to anyone. This is merely a strategic adjustment. So, of course, sir, Jorval said. I'll make sure they understand our position. With that, Jorval left the bridge, his mind already working on how to frame this unexpected olive branch to the humans. It was a risky move, but if it worked, it could change the course of the war, and perhaps the fate of both their species. Izar watched him go, a pensive look on his face. The humans had surprised him, that much was certain. They had proven to be a worthy foe, one that demanded a re-evaluation of tactics. And if there was one thing Izar excelled at, it was adapting to new challenges. He turned back to the viewport, gazing out at the stars. One way or another he would find a way to bring the humans to heel. Whether through force or diplomacy, the Krenim Empire would prevail. It was only a matter of time. The tension in the air was palpable, as Izar and Jorval faced off against Noah James, the human who had single-handedly orchestrated the resistance against their invasion. James stood tall, his eyes sharp, and his stance unwavering. Izar cleared his throat, trying to maintain an air of diplomacy despite the hostility radiating from the human leader. Noah James, Izar began, his voice measured, your tactics have been effective. We have come to realize that perhaps a peaceful resolution would be in both our interests. James raised an eyebrow, his expression skeptical. Peaceful? That's rich coming from the ones who tried to conquer us. Jorval stepped forward, his hands raised in a placating gesture. We understand your mistrust, but we truly believe that cooperation could lead to great things for both our species. A humorless laugh escaped James's lips. Cooperation? After everything you've done? You'll have to forgive me if I don't take you at your word. Izar tried a different approach, his tone almost cajoling. Think of the benefits, Noah James, access to our advanced technology, our vast resources. You could usher in a new era of prosperity for your people. James leaned forward, his eyes hardening. Let me make one thing clear, Izar. I don't fight for personal gain. I fight for the freedom and independence of my people. We don't want your scraps. We want the right to determine our own future, without the Krenim or anyone else pulling the strings. Izar's brow furrowed, taken aback by the human's fierce resolve. He had expected James to be swayed by the promise of power and wealth, like so many others before him. But this human was different. He fought not for himself, but for a higher ideal. Jorval, sensing Izar's frustration, tried to salvage the situation. Surely there must be some common ground we can find, a way to end this conflict without further bloodshed. James shook his head, his stance unwavering. The only way this conflict ends is with the Krenim leaving our planet and our people alone. We will not compromise on our freedom. Izar's eyes narrowed, a newfound respect mingling with his irritation. Noah James was a formidable opponent, not just on the battlefield, but in the realm of diplomacy as well. He had a way of cutting through the rhetoric and exposing the heart of the matter. As the meeting drew to a close, Izar found himself at a loss. The humans, led by Noah James, had proven themselves to be far more than mere primitives. They were a force to be reckoned with, driven by a fierce determination and an unshakable commitment to their ideals. Jorval, ever the pragmatist, turned to Izar as they made their way back to their ship. "Sir, perhaps it's time we re-evaluate our strategy. The humans have made their position clear. Continuing this war may not be in our best interests." Izar remained silent, his thoughts churning. The Krenim Empire had never backed down from a fight, never conceded to the demands of a lesser species. But the humans had proven themselves to be anything but lesser. They had stood their ground, refusing to be cowed or compromised. As the ship prepared for departure, Izar found himself at a crossroads. The path ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear. The humans, and Noah James in particular, had earned his grudging respect. They were a species to be reckoned with, and the Krenim would underestimate them at their own peril. Izar stormed onto the command deck of his ship, his face twisted in frustration and anger. The meeting with Noah James had been a complete failure, a humiliating display of human defiance in the face of Krenim superiority. Jorval, ever the voice of reason, spoke up cautiously. "With respect, sir, the humans have proven to be anything but primitive. Their technology may not be as advanced as ours, but their tactics and strategies are exceptionally sophisticated. Noah James has shown a remarkable ability to unite his people and exploit our weaknesses." Izar whirled on Jorval, his eyes blazing. "I don't want to hear any more about how impressive the humans are, Jorval. I want solutions. How do we defeat them? How do we crush their resistance once and for all?" Jorval paused, his brow furrowed in thought. "What if—" he began slowly. "What if we tried to undermine their unity? We've seen how they rally around Noah James, how they draw strength from their shared resolve. If we could find a way to divide them, to turn them against each other—" Izar leaned forward, intrigued. "Go on," he prompted, his anger momentarily forgotten. "We know that humans are not a homogeneous group," Jorval continued. "They have different nations, different cultures, different ideologies. If we could exploit those differences, sow discord among them, we might be able to weaken their resistance from within." A slow smile spread across Izar's face as he considered Jorval's words. "Divide and conquer," he mused. "It's a classic strategy for a reason. Very well, Jorval. Let's see if we can find the cracks in human society. Let's see if we can break them from within." Jorval nodded, his mind already racing with possibilities. "I'll have our intelligence teams begin analyzing human social structures and political systems. We'll identify potential fault lines, areas where we can apply pressure to create division and conflict." "Good," Izar said, his eyes glinting with renewed determination. "And while you're at it, have them dig deeper into Noah James's background. I want to know everything about him, his family, his friends, his weaknesses. If we can't defeat him directly, perhaps we can find a way to discredit him, to turn his own people against him." Jorval bowed his head in acknowledgement. "As you command, sir. I'll have our teams get started right away." As Jorval left to carry out his orders, Izar turned back to the viewscreen, staring down at the blue-green planet below. The humans had proven to be a formidable adversary, but he was far from beaten. He would find a way to break them, to bring them to their knees. And if that meant tearing apart the very fabric of their society, so be it. The Krenim Empire would prevail no matter the cost. Izar leaned forward, his eyes fixed on the viewscreen displaying the latest intelligence reports from Earth. The Krenim's advanced algorithms had been working tirelessly, analyzing human social media, intercepting communications, and identifying key influencers to target with their carefully crafted disinformation campaign. "Look at this, Jorval," Izar remarked, a hint of satisfaction in his voice. "The humans are starting to question Noah James's leadership. They're arguing among themselves, accusing each other of disloyalty." On the screen, a montage of human news clips and social media posts played out, showcasing the growing discord among the population. Pundits argued heatedly about the wisdom of continuing to resist the Krenim, while ordinary citizens expressed doubts about Noah James's ability to lead them to victory. Jorval, standing beside Izar, watched the display with a more cautious eye. "It's a start, sir," he acknowledged, "but we shouldn't underestimate the humans' ability to unite in the face of a common enemy. Noah James has proven to be a powerful unifying force." Thizar waved a dismissive hand. He's just one man, Yorval. Without the support of his people, he's nothing. The Krenim intensified their efforts, targeting specific groups with tailored messages designed to exploit their fears and prejudices. They played on the humans' inherent tribalism, amplifying existing divisions and creating new ones where none had existed before. For a time, it seemed to be working. The human resistance, once a united front, began to fracture and splinter. Factions emerged, each with their own agenda and their own vision for the future. Some called for surrender, arguing that the cost of continued resistance was too high. Others advocated for a more aggressive approach, urging Noah James to take the fight to the Krenim directly. Noah James, in a stunning display of leadership, managed to expose the Krenim's manipulation. In a series of broadcasts and public appearances, he laid bare the truth behind the growing discord, providing irrefutable proof of the Krenim's attempts to sow division among the human population. He showed how the Krenim had used advanced algorithms to target specific groups, how they had created fake social media accounts to spread disinformation, and how they had manipulated the news media to amplify their message of discord. In doing so, Noah James galvanized the human population once more. The factions that had emerged dissolved as quickly as they had formed, replaced by a renewed sense of unity and purpose. The humans rallied around their leader, their trust in him stronger than ever. Jorval, observing the developments with growing unease, turned to Izar. "Sir, the humans have seen through our deception," he reported grimly. "Noah James has united them once again, and they're more determined than ever to resist us." Thizar, his face contorted with fury, slammed his fist against the console. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "How could our plan have failed?" Jorval, a hint of admiration in his voice despite himself, replied, "It seems we've underestimated the strength of human unity once again, sir. They trust Noah James, and he's used that trust to counter our every move. It's a remarkable display of leadership." Thizar leaned back in his command chair, a scowl etched on his face as he mulled over Yorval's words. The very idea of trying to understand the humans, to study them as if they were some complex puzzle to be solved, grated against his every instinct as a Krenim commander. "This is absurd, Jorval," Izar grunted, shaking his head in disbelief. "We are warriors, conquerors. We don't try to understand our enemies, we crush them." Jorval, standing firm in the face of Izar's skepticism, pressed on. "With respect, sir, our usual tactics have failed us. The humans have proven to be unlike any foe we've faced before. If we hope to defeat them, we must first understand them." Izar's eyes narrowed as he considered Jorval's proposition. As much as it pained him to admit it, his subordinate had a point. The humans had defied every strategy, every attempt to break them. Perhaps a new approach was warranted. "Very well," Izar conceded, his tone grudging. "We'll try it your way, Jorval, but I expect results. I want to know what makes these humans tick, what drives them to such stubborn resistance." Jorval nodded, a glint of determination in his eye. "I'll assemble our best analysts and historians. We'll comb through every scrap of data we have on the humans, from their earliest recorded history to their most recent communications." As Jorval and his team set to work, Izar found himself growing increasingly impatient. Days stretched into weeks as the Krenim scholars pored over the vast troves of human data, seeking patterns, insights, anything that might shed light on the humans' uncanny resilience. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Jorval returned to Izar's command deck, a look of revelation on his face. "Sir," he began, his voice trembling with excitement, "I think we've found something." Jorval took a deep breath, organizing his thoughts. "The humans, sir, they have a history of overcoming adversity that stretches back millennia. From the earliest days of their civilization, they've faced challenges that would have broken lesser species. Natural disasters, plagues, wars amongst themselves. Time and again, they've been pushed to the brink of extinction." Izar's brow furrowed, "And yet they survive." "More than that, sir," Jorval continued. "They adapt. They learn from each crisis, growing stronger and more resilient with each passing generation. It's as if the very act of facing and overcoming these challenges has become ingrained in their cultural DNA. Jorval leaned forward, his eyes alight with understanding. Everything, sir, the humans, they don't know how to give up. They've faced far worse than us in their history, and they've always found a way to persevere. Our invasion, as devastating as it has been, is just another challenge for them to overcome. So what you're saying, Izar mused, is that by attacking them we've actually made them stronger, more united? Jorval nodded. In a way, yes. We've given them a common enemy, a shared purpose. And if there's one thing the humans excel at, it's coming together in the face of adversity. Izar fell silent, contemplating the implications of Jorval's findings. If the humans were truly as resilient as his subordinate suggested, then the Krenim's task was far more daunting than he had ever imagined. Breaking their spirit would not be a matter of simple military might, but of finding a way to undermine the very core of their being. Sir, Jorval ventured, breaking the silence, if I may make a suggestion. Izar waved a hand, signaling for him to continue. We know now that the humans draw strength from unity, from a shared sense of purpose, Jorval explained. Perhaps instead of trying to divide them, we should seek to understand what drives that unity. What is it that Noah James taps into that allows him to rally his people so effectively? Izar's eyes narrowed, a calculating look crossing his face. You're suggesting we study Noah James himself, try to unravel the secrets of his leadership? Jorval nodded, a hint of excitement in his voice. Precisely, sir. If we can understand what makes Noah James such a formidable leader, we may find the key to breaking the human resistance once and for all. Izar leaned back, a slow smile spreading across his face. Very well, Jorval. Let's see what makes this Noah James tick. Let's find out what it is that gives him such power over his people. As Jorval set about his new task, Izar found himself filled with a renewed sense of purpose. The humans may have proven to be a formidable foe, but they were not invincible. With understanding would come vulnerability, and with vulnerability, defeat. It was only a matter of time before the Krenim Empire would prevail, and when they did, Noah James and his resilient band of humans would be nothing more than a footnote in the annals of galactic history. Izar slumped in his command chair, a look of utter defeat etched on his face. He stared out at the view screen, the blue-green orb of Earth mocking him with its very existence. He had thrown everything the Krenim Empire had at the humans, and yet they still stood, unbowed and unbroken. Jorval, ever present at his side, cleared his throat. Sir, I've completed my analysis of the human resistance. I believe I've come to a conclusion about our chances of victory. Izar turned to him, his eyes hollow. And what have you determined, Jorval? Jorval's expression was grim. I'm afraid it's not good news, sir. Based on everything we've seen, everything we've learned about the humans, I don't believe we can win this war. No matter what we do, the humans will always find a way to resist us. Izar's fists clenched. What are you saying, Jorval, that we should just give up? Admit defeat at the hands of these primitives? Jorval shook his head. It's not about giving up, sir. It's about recognizing reality, the humans' determination, their unity. It's unlike anything we've ever encountered. Even if we were to defeat them militarily, they would never truly submit. They would always find a way to fight back. Izar's shoulders slumped, the weight of Jorval's words sinking in. Then what do we do, Jorval? How do we end this? Jorval took a deep breath. We leave, sir. We withdraw our forces and we leave Earth alone. Izar's head snapped up, his eyes wide. Leave? You mean surrender? The Krenim Empire does not surrender. Jorval stood his ground. It's not surrender, sir. It's recognition of reality. We cannot conquer the humans, not in any meaningful way. And the longer we try, the more we risk. They've already shown an alarming ability to adapt to our technology. Given enough time, they may even find a way to turn it against us. Izar's mind raced, a chilling thought taking hold. Jorval, what if the humans decide not to stop at defending their own planet? What if they decide to take the fight to us? Jorval's expression turned even grimmer. That's a terrifying prospect, sir. With their resilience and adaptability, combined with the technology they've managed to capture from us, they could pose a serious threat to the Krenim Empire. Caesar was silent for a long moment, the weight of the decision bearing down on him. Finally he spoke, his voice heavy with resignation. "Then we have no choice. We will withdraw from Earth immediately, and we will pray to whatever gods may listen, that the humans are content with defending their own world. For if they ever decide to expand beyond it, may the galaxy tremble at their coming." Jorval nodded solemnly. "I'll begin the preparations for our withdrawal at once, sir." As Jorval left to carry out his orders, Izar turned back to the view screen, staring at the planet that had defied him. The Krenim Empire was retreating, leaving Earth to its human defenders. But as the ships began to pull away, Izar couldn't shake the feeling that this was not the end. It was merely the beginning of something much, much larger. The humans had won this battle, but the war, the true war for the galaxy, was just beginning. And Izar couldn't help but wonder if the Krenim, if any race, was truly ready for what was to come. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.